I just like the vision of Jesus just squatting down and be like, how about? After this, we'll play leapfrog.
Zero conflicts in my brain.
No, me neither. Like, this works for me. Yeah. And
Let's go through the Bible together. I want your thoughts.
Welcome to another episode of the Creature Popcast. I'm Mike.
I'm Lindsay.
And today we're going to test our patience with our first anthology, a movie that starts pretty strong and then increasingly dares you to turn it off and just say you watched the whole thing and hope you can bluff your way through your podcast. It's 1982's Creepshow, directed by George Romero and written by Stephen King. Do we really got to talk about these boys? One's an iconic pioneer in horror cinema, specifically the foundational granddaddy of all things zombie, and the other one's Stephen fucking King. The dude's everywhere. He's probably tweeting something right now. They're easy to know. Jamie, have you ever seen Creepshow? The
No.
OG? No.
I don't think so.
Okay, that's my intro. So,
your
Lindsay, I'm throwing to you.
Okay.
Let's start in with this fucking meal of a movie.
All right, so it starts with a dad, Tom Atkins again.
It's a hard cut to the exterior of this suburban house. There's a jack-o'-lantern in the window, so you know it's adjacent to Halloween.
Yeah.
And we've got mustacheless Tom Atkins one more time.
Mm-hmm. And
Being
he's
a real
really,
shithead.
He's really upset that his son is reading crap. And the boy, who is actually Joe Hill.
That is Joe Hill. That's Stephen King's son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was kind of surprised that you
I
clocked him.
paused the movie and it tells me who was on
okay.
it. It's a Prime movie, so it tells you who's on screen.
Joe Hill started his
Best
own writing.
thing about it.
Joe Hill started his own writing career decades ago as Joe Hill because he didn't want to be baked into Stephen King's son. He wrote Nosferatu. He created Lock and Key with Raphael. I forget the artist name. The artist is amazing. Lock and Key is a great comic book series and basically proved his own way in the horror writing world.
So anyways, the boy talks back about what he's reading. I believe his name is Billy in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And he gets smacked. So we hear the smack. We don't see the smack, but then they show the boy's face with a big red mark on it. That
Yeah,
Dad
I mean,
smacked.
it's kind of off camera. Maybe they thought it was going too hard or whatever.
Yeah, for
the
Dad, they hit
mom's
it.
in the room and is completely feckless. She's like,
yeah.
oh, be nice, but she won't stop this violence.
Right. So they go downstairs. They're both in their separate chairs. And Mom is like, hey, weren't you hard on him? And Dad is like, did you see that horror crap? Things coming out of crates, eating people, dead people coming back to life, people turning into weeds, for Christ's sakes. So they basically tell us the stories.
Yeah, little previews of what's coming up.
He's like, do you want him to read that stuff? And he's like, I took care of it. That's what God made fathers for.
That's why God made fathers, babe. As he cracks open a tall boy and pours it into a glass.
Yes. It's so bad.
There is so many moments in this movie that remind me of my father.
Yeah.
It's not the hit and dad. Never mind. We're not going to talk about this. Because I was about to say never, but that's not true.
This is why Gen X people hate their parents, is what was going through my head at the time.
There's an aesthetic and a wish for respect and stuff like this that we'll actually talk about a little later when Leslie Nielsen pops up, to be like, my dad was cooler than this, for sure.
Sure.
But the whole kicking back and demanding respect in the household while he pours another beer into a glass is very much more. If Tom Atkins had his mustache, it would be dead on to my dad.
Yeah.
Which is probably why I always clock Tom Atkins. I'm like, Dad?
I saw a comedian recently that was talking about how boomers are reacting to millennials and their gentle parenting, which some gentle parenting can go too far, but I think sometimes boomers look at millennials and they are like, that's gentle parenting, when literally they're just not hitting their kids.
They're just not hitting their kids.
Yeah.
But
they're not getting a whooping.
he was like, the comedian was like, I don't know where you guys fucking get off, because when I was a kid, they had to have ads on the TV that were like, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your kids are?
Yeah, yes.
The ads were literally, Gen X ads were like, your kids outside. Do you remember them?
Yeah.
Yeah, they just forget them. And I'm like, what the fuck? You just didn't. You just like, oh, we had these kids and now they're shoo.
Yes, exactly what they did.
Go away.
Yeah.
All right, so upstairs.
Yes, upstairs, the little
what
boy.
I don't understand about this is the father gets so pissed about this comic book and throws it in the trash.
Yeah.
And then we cut back to the kid and his room is filled with horror shit.
Covered in Creepshow stuff. Yeah.
It's Dracula posters and Godzilla shells and everything. I'm like, why is this one thing what Tom Atkins is pissed off about?
They just needed the vehicle. Who knows?
Yeah.
But then the little boy says, I hope you rot in hell. And then we hear the hee 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 hee.
Yeah.
And then a weird wispy skeleton character is floating out of his window. And then Joe Hill's character, Billy, he just looks at it adoringly.
Like he loves this thing.
Yeah,
And
he almost bats his eyes. Like
yeah,
he's
it's
like
almost
in love with it.
It's almost like, yeah, exactly, like a love thing.
Yeah, it was crazy. So then the skeleton creature smiles at the camera and then turns into an animation, and we get the opening credits for Creepshow.
Yeah, so real quick, I'm going to just do this breakdown as fast as possible. It's going to be quick and dirty, and certainly tons of stuff is left out. So Tom Atkins has thrown this comic book outside in a trash can. As it unfurls, it's shown the cover is Creepshow. Now, Creepshow isn't a thing that exists outside of this movie. It's invoking Tales from the Crypt, The Vault of Horror, and The Haunt of Fear. These are 3 EC comics. Yeah. EC is Entertaining Comics. This is a company that was rolling out crime and horror comics by the bushel in the 50s, run by Bill Gaines, Al Feldstein, and Harvey Kurtzman. These things would piss parents off so much that they had to fight a congressional hearing after a man named Frederick Wortham came out with a book called Seduction of the Innocent. This was an incredibly popular book in the early 50s that parents read. It was like pop psychology, and it's like the beautiful history of moral panics in our country about what is fucking up our kids, be it video games or social media. This is the comic book version of it. So what happened as a fallout of this is the comic book company started something called the Comics Code Authority, which is akin to what the MPAA would do in the late 60s to kind of like appease the powers that be and self-censor, kind of, being like, don't worry, we got this. No more decapitated women on our covers and stuff like that. This pissed off the guys who were making this shit because this shit was, fun. And Gaines and EC Comics would then pivot and try to do a bunch of experimental shit, failing completely except for the one thing that kept them afloat, which was Mad Magazine.
Mad Magazine.
That's where Mad Magazine came out of a pivot from this, and Mad Magazine is published to this day. That is the thing that basically is their legacy. So I say all that to be like, when you watch Creepshow, you're thinking at this time that it's another Tales from the Crypt or Tales from the Dark Side. This actually is Romero and King's love letter to the comic books that then the people who DC would eventually have Tales from the Crypt and stuff like that would come out a couple years later and be like, oh, we actually own these things that they're doing an homage to. Why don't we do our own?
Right. You said EC or DC again?
EC turns to DC.
Got
DC
it.
ends up with a bunch of the Haunt of Fear and the Tales from the Crypt. All 3 of these comics had hosts, which were like the Crypt Keeper and the Vault Keeper and the Old Witch.
It went into the old-fashioned horror host, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was concurrently. This is the comic book version of it that was moving into TV.
Got it.
And so this specific movie really made a whole bunch of like pulling from comics and that anthology comic book type thing.
Got it.
Sorry for all of that.
No wonder you love it so much. It's like your entire life.
That's why I just rambled on for 5 fucking minutes. A lot of this has a really interesting history that if pick apart those few paragraphs and go do some research on Bill Gaines and EC Comics, it's fascinating shit.
Yeah.
That really, once again, we have to, artists and dark-minded folks have to constantly fight this goddamn country who has to go after shit that really doesn't matter instead of doing their fucking jobs and helping us as a society.
Yeah.
So the skeleton shroud in the window, who's going to be kind of the voiceless host of this whole movie, is clearly what Crypt Keeper will become in the Tales from the Crypt show.
Right. Of course. Yeah. Okay, so there are 5 stories in this movie. So I'm just going to start with telling you the title of each one, and then we'll go into it. So first one is called Father's Day. And we start out with a rich family sitting around waiting for Dottie Aunt Bedelia.
Yes.
And they're telling the newest member of the family, Ed Harris, I think his name is Hank in the show, basically telling him the tea.
The tea?
The tea.
Spilling the tea? Is that what you mean? Okay, gotcha.
Bedelia is rumored to have murdered her own father.
Yes.
And so they're like, her father, they're saying he's ancient. He's 104 years old.
He was 104
he was 104 years old. He's super jealous, thinks everybody's out for his money. He has a stroke, and then Bedelia had to be his nurse, basically, and take care of him.
Yeah.
And then the one who's telling the story is her sister, Sylvia. And she has 2 children. So it's...
they're a niece and a nephew.
Those are Sylvia's kids.
Correct.
Right. So I'm saying Sylvia's telling the story, and she has 2 children.
Oh, okay.
So Bedelia is the aunt. Yeah.
Right.
Sylvia's
and Bedelia, 2 children aren't in the thing, though.
They're there. They're right there. That's Cass and Richard or whatever his name is. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I took a bunch of opened a bunch of windows trying to find out the family history of who's who in this, and I fucking don't care. It doesn't matter.
So anyway, so Bedelia is his nurse, and while she was nursing her father, she fell in love with a man. And her father, being the jealous type, he had him murdered, basically in a hunting accident.
Right.
And
Thinking that they would go off together and he would be left alone without this.
Exactly. And the whole time they're talking about how old Aunt Bedelia is and that this guy was like in his 70s that she fell in love with. And like they're like, everybody's old. They're really hammering that everybody's really old. It's really strange. Anyway, so.
I think they're worried that if everyone sat down and cared enough about this and wrote it out, that the timeline wouldn't work. So, but no one gives a shit.
Right. Then they were like, and then Bedelia bashed her father's head in with an ashtray. And they hand the ashtray to Hank that she used to murder her
No, I love
father.
this. The most Ed Harris in this room is everyone here is acting pretty well. It's all a little hammy soap opera over the top.
It is, yeah.
Ed Harris, as the new husband to
Cass,
is being told this the first time. This murder happened on Father's Day, and Aunt Bedelia has made this a family tradition to kind of celebrate the murder.
She does, yeah.
Even though it's just an open secret. No one calls it a murder to Aunt Bedelia's face.
No.
Everybody's like, it's cool, that guy sucks.
Everyone is a nightmare
Well, and they're
person.
like...
They're all rich.
Well, and they're like,
privileged
she
assholes.
actually made it better for us because basically there was no fight
That's
over
how
money.
Yeah.
There was...
Yeah, they were just
They
like,
celebrate her for getting daddy's money.
you're like, you did it.
Or grandpa's money.
I mean, he was 104.
184.
That's what I say.
84?
They're being hyperbolic.
Yeah.
For sure.
Ed Harris is looking around this whole time like, what the fuck did I marry into? Everyone's getting increasingly hammered this whole time, though.
Right. So
and
then
waiting for Aunt
They
Bedelia.
are. So Bedelia has shown up, and she immediately just gets out of a wraith or something similar.
Yeah, it's
Rolls Royce of
It's
some
like
sort.
a phantom or something.
And then she leaves the door open, and she goes directly to the cemetery on the family land,
Yeah.
carrying a bottle of Jim Beam.
Yeah.
And she goes to his grave.
And this cemetery's beautifully, like, gothic.
Yeah.
And overgrown.
And then we hear the voice of a memory saying, I want my cake, and a bunch of other shit about cake. And we see how...
It's a bunch of shit about it. Daddy wants his cake, you dirty bitch. It's fucking crazy.
And we see how awful he was and how he drove her to bash his head in, how that happened.
Now, did you, just real quick, did you know the ashtray that is the murder weapon is in every single story?
No, I did not know that.
Well,
okay,
it's
you'll
funny.
have to point that out to
That
me.
ashtray shows up in every story.
That's
going forward.
hilarious.
So
Yeah.
it's also haunted,
I guess so.
like the unlucky penny.
Kind of,
Yes. So then Bedelia just like starts ranting at the grave about, you shouldn't have killed him, all sorts of stuff. And then she says she covered up the murder and no one's ever going to figure it out. And she's like, just like you taught us.
Right.
So that makes him, he's more evil than just, I want my cake. He's so evil that he taught them how to cover up a murder.
Well, and this is the best scene in this one, I think. I think the drunk old Bedelia is sitting on her dad's grave before what happens is she's lamenting the fact that she's sad she killed her asshole father. The weight of this has
it's
has
definitely
been on
weighing on her.
And she's like, you were a bootlicker, you were a murderer. Like, this asshole was a criminal and made criminals out of his family.
Yes,
So
he did.
what did he fucking expect?
Right. And then she's like, it's so peaceful here. And in that moment, a hand rushes out of the ground. It's like a decomposing skeleton hand. And I literally fucking gasped.
I love that you
I was
gasped.
surprised you didn't come out of the bedroom.
That's so funny.
I did. So it scared me. And then the whole body crawls out of the grave.
The corpse looks so fucking good.
Yeah.
So Tom Savini is back doing all of the special effects. This looks like, if you ever see an EC comic corpse, there's a couple of them in the movie that Savini has lovingly recreated. They are mossy. They are dirt's falling off of them. They look so fucking good. I love it. And George Romero throughout this entire movie keeps turning on a Halloween lights everywhere. Like
Yes,
when
he does.
the
Yeah.
hand comes out, a red light shines on it, and then a green light backlights the zombie. And those lights will just turn on and off because it's just comic book shit.
The whole thing is a comic book.
Yeah.
And then he's like, where's my cake, Bedelia? And then he strangles her. So,
Where's my cake?
So the
angry
family-
about that
Daddy wants
cake.
his cake.
yeah. The family is still inside waiting on Bedelia. Ed Harris and Cass are like dancing, and they decide to go outside and take a walk in the cemetery.
This, I have to mention it. It has been discussed over and over again. Ed Harris's dance in this movie is fucking crazy.
I didn't really clock it.
Okay, good. Fine. We'll just move on.
Okay.
Anytime anybody talks about Creepshow, they talk about Ed Harris's dance.
Yeah,
and it
I
is
didn't
pretty
notice.
funny.
Yeah. So Ed Harris is walking around the cemetery. He's spooking
Yeah.
himself.
He went out for a smoke, so he's...
Yeah, and he's like lighting matches to read headstones. He's spooking himself. So he finds Bedelia's Jim Beam, and then he decides to take a drink out of it.
that's
He's like,
fucking
okay,
wild.
yeah,
He
I
sniffs
know.
it, smiles, and goes like, I'll just drink this like sludge of Jim Beam in the backwash of
there's
this
the amount
bottle.
of it, yeah. There's so little left, yeah. So then he falls backwards into Dad's empty grave.
Yeah.
And he finds her body as he's struggling to get out.
The Bedelia's body.
Yeah, and the headstone, like, slowly, it looks like somebody's shoving it, but nobody's shoving it. It basically coming down.
This
Like,
is
because
like-
the ground's been disturbed, so the headstone is now tilted forward, and it basically falls on his head and
And
crushes
smashes
him.
him. It's not a small headstone. It's like a,
It's a big
like
one.
a spire that
Yeah.
falls onto him.
And we can see that the dead corpse zombie thing is watching. Sylvia, the mom of the kids, she's decided to go look for Cass's husband, Hank. You know, she's like, "Where's Hank? I need to
She's
find
very
him."
tired. The kids are in their late 20s,
Late 20s, early 30s, yeah.
They're soused.
They're spoiled children.
Woman is dancing. And Richard is just this very, like, clearly an alcoholic. He's gone through several bottles of wine, and he's just sassy the whole time just to be there.
Yeah.
He's just very... He's been over this before he ever got there.
Yeah, he didn't want to be here, but it's a family tradition. So
Sylvia's kind of lost her patience with the whole night.
So Sylvia goes into the kitchen looking for the housekeeper first, and she sees muddy footprints on the ground, and the kitchen light's off, and things are still on the stove bubbling, but the housekeeper's missing. And then there's a swinging kitchen door with a porthole in it, and as she's standing there, we see the body of the housekeeper.
Yeah, her
flash
face
into the
kind of
porthole.
smashes up into the glass.
Mom, you know, she screams, and then Dad's zombie shows up and breaks her neck.
Yeah.
He literally just walks up and...
Turns her head basically 180 on her shoulders.
So then Cass begs her brother to go and look for her husband with her. And he finally agrees to get out of his fucking chair.
This is the funniest line. The two kids are going to the
too.
house. Did you write down?
Yeah. Yes,
His
they go into the
delivery's
dark
so good.
kitchen, and he's like, "Are we conserving energy?"
And he's just like, are we conserving energy?
I did too. I was so
It's just
good.
it's the perfect delivery
It was.
of a guy who's just like, what the fuck is this? He's so catty.
Then they notice the muddy footprints, and then dead dad, grandpa, zombie busts through the door with Sylvia's head on a platter covered in birthday candles. He's like, "It's Father's Day. I got my cake," and they all scream, and that is the end of that story.
And freeze frame.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. No moral, no nothing. The bad guy wins. I don't
guy
know what
won.
the fuck we're doing here,
Yeah.
other than that's probably what these comics were kind of like.
The bad guys win. Yeah. So
There are no good guys.
So now we're on to the second story.
So
I
let me.
really thought there was going to be
This is my favorite
a
story, by the way. This one
resolution
is my
or
favorite.
something.
This is my favorite too.
No, the first one was my favorite.
Oh, the first one's your favorite. Okay.
The first one was my favorite.
Well,
The first one was my favorite. It was very... It scared me multiple
Yeah.
times, and it was like all the people that they made me hate died, and so
yeah,
like, it
I
was
think
fun.
that was where
Even
the
though
moral.
the bad guy was also bad. So.
Yeah, I think that's where the moral panic of these comics comes from, is that it's just a bunch of bad people hurting each other,
Yeah.
and there's not a whole lot of like moral, social, whatever.
There
to
wasn't
it. It's
anything.
just like who gives a shit.
We finished that story, and it taught us
It's
nothing.
literally, excuse me, we finished that story and it taught us nothing is basically the tagline of this movie. I do want to talk about transitions real quick. It's very comic booky.
Yeah. It's
So
inanimated. I didn't talk about it at all.
So like when the kids scream at the end, the background goes into these weird, like their faces are lit up in garish colors, lights, and then the backgrounds are like...
It's like action bubbles in comics, you know, where
Yeah.
it's like pow, but it's the bubble part. Yeah.
And you transition from a comic book panel to a screen panel, and then from a screen panel back into a comic book. And animation goes in between the stories to show this comic
and that's how you
book.
learn the titles of each story as part of the comic book.
This comic book is still sitting on the top of the trash can where
Yeah.
the father threw it away, and Win will turn the page to the next story, and then the camera goes into that.
Yep.
So the next story is...
The Lonesome Death of Jordy Verrill.
And
Sorry.
Stephen King's acting debut.
Yeah. A meteor crashes to the ground, and a dumb hit character, played by Stephen King, and poorly acted. Dude, I thought Joe's Hill performance was really bad. And then I saw Stephen
Joe
King's
Hill's a
performance.
child.
I know.
Joe
I
Hill's
know.
like
And that's why it
10
was
years
acceptable.
old.
And that's why
Just
it was
a little
acceptable.
kid.
And then I saw Stephen King's performance, and I'm like, this family can't act at all.
This is... I will... Spoiler, this is my favorite one. I love this fucking story. Like I was saying earlier, I think George Romero tends to make everyone overact in general. It's kind of like his directing style, I think. If you watch Night of the Living Dead, it is a... People are yelling at each other the whole time rather than talking to one another. Love Night of the Living Dead. It's fucking cornerstone. I think that if they told Stephen King to tone it down, it would be worse.
Yeah.
So I
This
think
one is over
he's
the top.
Really, look.
He's a
Stephen
cartoon
King has
character.
buck teeth.
Yeah.
Stephen King has a lazy eye.
Yeah.
These are all just natural things that are fine. And I think his like, oh golly, Shorty Verrill character in this where he keeps slapping his own face.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. Anyway, so
Back
this
to this.
poorly animated meteorite has hit in his farmland.
His farmland, yeah. And he
Yeah.
goes to go find it. And when he finds it, it's glowing. And it's going from like gold to green and gold to green.
Yeah.
And he pokes it with one of those rulers. Now, I had one of these when I was a kid, and I had forgotten about him. It was an extension ruler.
Yeah, it's like
and it wasn't like
collapsible
a
wood.
tape measure, but it was like a piece of wood that was like
Oh, that would like
folded.
spin?
Yeah, and you would spin them out. Yeah, an
Yeah.
extension ruler. Yeah.
I come from a line of, before they were car mechanics, further up the line, they were all carpenters. And this was very much my grandfather, my great-grandfather's in their toolbox.
I haven't seen one of these since I was a kid. So
Yeah.
he pokes it with the ruler and nothing happens. So then he touches it and it burns him or shocks him. I can't tell which, but
It like burns his fingers.
yeah. And then he decides he's going to
And
sell
he
it.
immediately starts sucking on his fingers.
He does.
It's so
He sucks on
gross.
his fingers.
He keeps doing that.
He decides to sell the meteor and he dreams about all the money he would get. And so we actually go into a dream sequence where he brings the meteor into a university professor's office and he has the meteor in the bucket and he's like, I'm going to sell this to you. And the guy's like counting all this money. He's got like stacks of money. He's like, I want $200, not a penny less.
So this is one of, I love this part. So he has dreamt of this department of meteorites that he's going to in the college. It's outside the door. And this evil professor is like, I'm going to give you 50 for it. He's like, no, sir. Mama Verl didn't raise no dummy. I won't take less than 200 because 200 is the height of what this man can think of as riches. And when he comes back, he goes, yep, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pay off that bank loan. So it's not even to put in his pocket.
No.
It's to just pay off
A bank loan.
the land probably or
Probably,
the
yeah.
farmhouse.
Thought also that that's not how a university works at all.
So what the movie's telling you is Jordy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
The professor can't just be like, here's my 200. I'm gonna. That's not how it
like a
works.
petty cash
It's
box.
hilarious. He has a cash box and he's pulling out fives and everything. Remember, the college probably also doesn't have a department of meteors. So this is all in Jordy's head.
It's
It's
all-
all-
geology
it's all,
department.
it's all a dream. So anyway, so Jordy then decides to cool off the meteor and he gets a bucket of water. And this is where, when he's getting the water, this is where we see he's got weird blisters on his hand,
there's already
on his
blistered
fingers
up.
where he got burnt. So then he throws the water on the meteor and it basically fogs
Steams.
and splashes and steams and it makes the meteor crack in half. And then they both, two parts, they start to ooze blue goo.
Yeah, it's like glowing blue. It looks pretty cool.
So then we have another dream sequence where now he dreams that he goes to the meteor department
he's
and he's
very
not getting any money
Yeah.
for a broken meteor.
He's very upset. He's like, Jordy, you lunkhead, you just
ruined
broke
it.
You
Yeah,
ruined it.
You ruined it.
By
And-
splitting it in half.
But it has
Although
a whole
I would
other
argue they're going to split the meteor
Yeah,
in
they're
half.
Yeah, they are,
gonna
they are.
to see what's in there.
Yeah, but in his mind, he's got something broken now,
broke it.
and he's
It
not
ain't
worth
worth
the money. But he still has an entire dream sequence of this guy telling him that he's not worth anything. So then
He's going to try anyway, though.
he's gonna try anyway.
So he
he's like,
pours
I gotta try.
the blue liquid goo
Onto the
into the
ground.
grass
Yeah.
and put the two halves in the bucket and heads back up to the
Yep,
house.
and
They want that goo.
they do, but
That
he
goo
poured it out.
comes to turn
Yeah.
out is very important.
Yeah, and then he realizes he goes meteor shit, and he realizes he got
Yeah.
goo on his hand, and he wipes it off on his clothes.
Goddamn meteor
Never
shit.
fucking washes his hands. Okay, he
And
goes.
continues to stick them in his mouth.
Yes, yes. So he goes inside and he drinks some sort of apple beer.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure what it is, if it's a cider, but it just says apple across
I
the
guarantee
front.
you it's something real that Stephen King knows of because later on when he gets the
yeah.
vodka, it's pop off. So
Yeah.
these are like real things.
They
that
are, but
have
it seems
something.
like it just says apple, but it's definitely beer of some sort.
Yeah.
So he gets the apple beer, he's watching something on TV, and he's sucking on his fingers.
He's just watching wrestling, old school
Yeah.
black and white wrestling.
And then outside, we see that the green goo has continued to change. It's like getting thicker and bubbly and weird.
And green.
And green.
It's
It's,
very
got, it's
green
now
now.
green now. It's no longer blue. So now we flash to it later, and the green goo is slowly like terraforming his yard wherever he went.
Yeah.
Like it's following the path that he walked.
It's very ethereal. Like it's very alien.
It's cool. It's very alien.
cool.
Yeah,
Thank
it's very
you.
alien. Yeah, because it's like tall, straight spikes
Of grass.
but they're like perfectly straight.
And then
they're
it'll
also like
get-
super glowy, kind of
Yeah,
green.
the color
very
pitches really up.
lime peel green.
And then it'll get on patches on things that shouldn't grow, like on the metal of a car and stuff. And there's like almost like filaments. It looks sharp.
There's a
and
mixture
it
of
looks
moss,
dangerous.
there's a mixture of the grass, there's
Yeah.
a mixture of weird things going on. So it's pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
So then he notices that the blisters where he had on his fingers are now green. So he
Yeah, they're
goes
clearly like moss
he goes to
patches.
call the doctor, but then he stops and he imagines how the doctor is going to tell him he has to cut off his fingers. And it's the same guy that he imagined.
The same meteor professor is now
is
the
now the
sadistic doctor
Yeah.
that's going to cut off his
Really,
Yeah, and so-
a well-learned man that
He
he's
is not.
Yeah.
envisioning.
And he literally
Hey, it
imagines
speaks to a problem in our country for real that these people aren't necessarily. This is an exaggeration.
Mm-hmm.
These people aren't dum dums, but there is a real mistrust to the medical field and experts
course.
that, if left to simmer, might cause problems in our society.
Of course, which they have. So he imagines this doctor is just going to take a meat cleaver out of an autoclave so that he can chop off his fingers and then run his little finger down the edge about how sharp it is. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
This doctor has like a Fu Manchu that might be borderline on on
I mean, this
Asians.
whole movie's racist, so don't even.
Yeah, stereotypes of
It's classist,
whatever.
it's racist, it's everything. It's 1982.
This whole thing, Jordy Verrill being this dummy, is classist in and of itself.
Yes, the whole movie is. So, anyways, he decides not to call the doctor, and he realizes he's been sucking on his green fingers. So he goes to the bathroom to look in the mirror, and his tongue is green.
Yes.
And then later, the whole yard is now covered in glowing green grassy plants, and so is Jordy. He's got little patches growing on him.
He's like a bear against a tree, scratching his back on a door frame because he's itching.
Yeah, and he sees that everywhere he's touched, his green growing. Basically, he's been spreading the spores.
Inside the house, moss is growing everywhere.
Every single thing he's touched,
So
moss
what
is
does
growing.
he do? He goes and grabs a bottle of
And
Pop-Off.
this is where I wrote, what is this movie in the background that's talking to him?
Okay, so this is the original 1937 A Star is Born. And
Oh,
yeah, and that's
okay.
what's playing. It is an extended scene that's basically just playing back and forth with. So Jordy's whole thing is that he has bad luck. He keeps talking about how I'm just an unlucky boy. That's why I'm in this station. And then A Star is Born. It's a scene where the older woman is talking to the actress.
I don't know the movie. I don't know this version of A Star is Born. I know the other two, but not this one.
She's basically telling the young one that dreamers do nothing. They only sit there and dream until one day they're old and they have nothing left but their dreams. It's doing a real weird, tenuous kind of thing, how Jordy has his imagination on this farmhouse, but won't ever do anything bigger. Won't ever step off.
Yeah,
of
no,
the
the TV's been speaking to him the whole time.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's not profound. It's not anything that's really whatever.
So he freaks out about all the green on him, and he starts looking for vodka. And he finds it, and he pulls out a half pitcher of orange juice, and he makes a giant screwdriver.
I love this. He pulls out a picture, upturns the bottle of vodka
And
into it, and uses the empty neck to stir it. And throws a bottle of ground. And I'm like, hey,
I knew you were going to love that.
that's a level I haven't gotten to yet.
Anyways, he sits back down in front of the television with his giant screwdriver, and we assume he falls asleep. So later he wakes up and he decides to run a bath. And then he imagines his daddy talking to him from the mirror. Is this also Stephen King playing his own father? Or is this somebody else?
No, this is someone else.
Okay, I couldn't tell.
No.
Okay, so he imagines his daddy talking to him from the mirror, and daddy warns him not to get in the tub that it's water that this wants. He's like, it's water.
Give it what it wants.
Getting the tub is going to sign your death warrant. And Jordy is like, I'm already dead, aren't I?
Yeah.
You know? He's basically like, I'm already on my way out.
Yeah, Jordy's standing there and he's lamenting to himself that he signed his own death warrant. And the water is sparkly.
Yeah, I was going to say, the water looks like glitter.
Seducing
and he's
him.
just like, he's getting so thirsty because all I can see is this sparkly, glittery water.
Yeah.
And they literally covered it in glitter.
This is incredibly like Lovecraftian. There's a Lovecraft story called The Color Out of Space that they made into a movie that
we haven't seen that.
This is very much an homage to that. The meteorite making plants grow, and like it itself, the color, which is like shiny and everything, is like seducing humans against their best interests.
Right.
For the plants.
So then we hear from the distance, because they back out of that room, that he's gotten into the tub and it feels way better, he says. So in the morning, now we have seen that the green has taken over everything. Jordy is buried under plant growth, and he sits up, and he's
like
basically
a
ghillie suit. Yeah, he's basically in a green ghillie suit.
But it looks cooler than that. You can tell it's moss. He's got like some flowers
right.
on it, and he's just like this. Imagine like a grass snowman.
Yeah. He grabs a shotgun, sits up, and he says, "Please God, let my luck be good just in this once." And then bang, and half his head is gone.
It blows the top of his head
And
off.
then we hear the news talking about how much rain the county's going to get in the next month and how it's going to turn green overnight. Almost miraculous.
Yeah, this is
and
the
at the
farm
same
report.
time, they back out, and you see how the green is now spread past his farm.
And you see Castle Rock is 5 miles down the road.
Yep.
Little nod to Stephen King
Yep.
again. And that was my favorite one. It's clean, it's simple, it's monster. I feel so bad for Jordy because he's just trying to do his best. And the one good luck he begs God for is to kill himself. Ugh.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So, goes to cartoon.
Yeah.
I think now the wind takes the comic book out of the trash can and lands it in the gutter. The page flips to something to tide you over.
So, Ted Danson.
Ted Danson.
Who plays Harry, is laying on a couch in his bathrobe, and Leslie Nielsen, who is Richard, knocks at the door persistently. Harry opens the door and then pretends he doesn't know who this guy is, but Richard's like, "You know who I am, and if you don't let me in and talk to me, something really bad is going to happen to Rebecca."
Right.
So Harry lets him in. And Harry, we find out through this conversation that Harry and Rebecca have been having an affair, but Richard keeps what's his, no exceptions.
Yeah. Richard is a piece of shit. Everyone's a piece of shit. Again,
This is like the best thing I've ever seen Leslie Nielsen act in.
I need... Yes.
Not that I've watched a lot of Leslie Nielsen.
No, I was
He's
gonna...
amazing.
This always blew my mind, and I was going to save this for a little later in the story,
Sure.
but this blew my mind as a kid because I only knew Leslie Nielsen from Airplane and Naked Gun.
Yep, me too. That's
So
it. Well, I
he's
still
just
know
a
him.
big, goofy guy. It's like only knowing Liam Neeson from this new one and then watching Taken. It's like reversing. So Leslie Nielsen was a serious actor for a very long time before
I knew
finding
that,
his niche
but I'd
or
never
whatever.
seen it. Yeah.
But yes, this was the first time I saw it. He is evil, charming.
Yeah, he is
charming evil in this. And
he's wonderful. Probably the best actor in this movie.
The best performance in the entire movie, for sure.
It was wonderful.
And as a kid, I was transfixed because I was like, I've never seen this man. This man's unsafe all of a sudden for the first time.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's in Ted Danson's house. He has this fixation with technology, so he's all over Ted Danson's television and his VCR, which are new technologies at the time.
Right, because he's going to play him. He's just playing. I thought at first he was going to play him a video, but he's just touching his television.
He's like, you need to clean your VCR heads more.
Yeah.
And at the time, everyone's like, a VCR head is like a new term that some people
and those
understand.
tapes that cleaned it, you would buy it, used it once, and never do it again.
Well, we never did it again because you can do it with a Q-tip and some alcohol manually.
Yeah, you don't need to put the little...
$25.
Yeah, exactly.
So young people listening to this have no idea what the fuck we're talking about right now. Did you know video games could only be played on Channel 3?
Yes, I did.
Gotta get your red, your yellow, and your white.
Yeah, the coax cable.
Yeah. Well, that's an RCA cable.
Well, that's an RCA cable. My bad.
Coax is how the antenna connects.
Yeah, well, and that's all how cable was as well. Coax.
Yeah, I just misspoke.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways.
Okay.
Yeah, get your cables right.
So
Richard plays a tape recorder of Rebecca begging. Rebecca just says, "You have to come. You have to come." He doesn't say what's going on.
Clearly in peril.
Yeah. Clearly in peril. And then Richard says, if you don't come by 11, it's going to be too late.
Yeah.
So Harry goes with Richard, and they're in a Jeep, and they're driving to the beach. And they get out of the car, and they walk to the top of a dune.
Richard says, this is Comfort Beach.
Yeah.
And my big
Comfort
house on the
Station.
top is called Comfort Station. This is all his property.
It's all, and it's
Beachside
private
property.
beach. Everything's private. So Richard is pointing to what looks like a grave, and with like a shovel sticking out of the ground.
In the sand, just by the water's edge.
Yeah. Richard lets Harry believe that this is the burial mound of Rebecca. So Harry runs down towards the mound, and when he gets there, it's empty.
Yeah, it's
an empty hole. And in the meantime, Richard has taken a gun out of an ankle holster and is now pointing it at Harry.
So Harry immediately turns around brandishing the shovel, and
does.
he's already got a gun on him.
He's already got a gun on him.
He brought a shovel to a gunfight and didn't know it.
So Richard then convinces Harry to get in the hole.
And then kneel in the hole.
Well, I was going to say, Richard makes him kneel in the hole and bury himself.
Now, the whole time, he's like, no, man, you're just going to fucking kill me. And he's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Maybe I just want to subdue you. And, so there's this kind of banter back and forth that maybe this is just an asshole scaring him.
Right. I mean, this whole thing makes you think about victimology, like, as a whole. Like, the whole time, you're like, why don't you just run? Why did you go with this guy? Why didn't you preserve your own self-being? But people get stuck in these situations because the entire time they think this person will not go to the next level.
Absolutely.
They are constantly thinking, I have to do what they say because that's the only way I can survive. Personally, I watch a lot of crime shit. Fight from the get-go.
Yeah, that's
from the get-go. You don't go with that guy and you call the cops.
Never go to a second location.
Yeah, never go to a second location.
So it would be...
Do whatever you got to do. Like, you might die right there, but if they take you to a second location, you're
done.
They're definitely going to
kill you.
Getting in that Jeep
no matter what.
was Harry's first mistake.
Yeah, it was.
He's just playing into
and
this
now
whole
you're
thing.
stuck. And it's a very...
So story-wise, this might be the best one.
It is. It is a good one. It's a very good one. So Harry basically buries himself when we see Richard patting down the soil with the shovel because obviously somebody else had to bury him up to the neck. So it's just his head above
This is
ground.
one of the most iconic things I think you see, and this is Ted Danson just neck on the beach.
Yeah, just his head on the beach, yep. So he leaves him. And a while later, a crab is spooking Harry.
Yeah, it seems like Harry wakes up. And there's a real live crab just right next to Ted, his fucking face.
So Richard has come back, and he's run cable all the way from his house on big spools inside of his Jeep to bring a television set out to Harry.
So there didn't used to be a thing called Wi-Fi. So that's newer. So This man
Definitely
is...
not in H19. We're lucky it's a color television.
That is funny. She might be in black and white.
I mean, I don't remember getting color television until like 1985, 1986.
I remember the day. Funny enough.
Having a color television on the beach was a big deal in 1982.
the day. Oh, it's a huge deal. It's insane. He literally in picture shows like hundreds of dollars worth of extension cord that he just had to unspool from the back of his Jeep.
Yep.
I remember the day we got a color TV very vividly. And it was mid 80s because the first thing that came on was Tales from the Dark Side, either the movie or the show. So that Tales from the Dark Side came after this movie.
Right.
And I was so pissed off because I was such a scaredy cat as a kid. I couldn't stick around and watch Tales of the fucking Dark Side on our new TV because I was too afraid of the show.
I know we didn't get one until we moved to Texas, and that would have been 1987. But I know before 1987, I have memories of black and white TV. And after 1987, I remember memories of having a color TV.
So this is why our generation is probably the last one that doesn't have a fully cooked brain, because we can remember a time before technology and these technological cocoons and cast our mind back there and be like, oh yeah, I remember when my mom was like, do we get cable or air conditioning? And my dad was like, cable, and all of us were like, fucking air conditioning.
And you got air conditioning.
We got air conditioning. We never got cable.
Yeah.
You know, it's those
It's just so hot.
Yeah.
The only black and white TV we had that I remember, because by the time I remember there being TV in our house and stuff, it was all color.
Right.
But my mom would always go on these camping trips, and we got like this small battery-powered, like 6D batteries that would go in it. It was the big batteries, the huge ones,
don't make those anymore,
and you never it's never
do.
just like one huge battery. It's like 6 of them.
Yeah.
And we would take that TV on camping trips, and it was black and white, and it had like the switch in the back where you could switch it to like, what was it, UHF and VHF. I still didn't remember the difference between those. You just click it to see which one got a better picture.
UHF, I believe, was like more AM to VHS's FM. There was more popular, like, I don't know. I'm probably talking completely out of my ass.
Well,
but
that's
UHF
what, because I
didn't
just
have anything
remember
that I wanted to watch.
I was like young, and we would just have it and just like flipping back and forth, and then it had like rabbit ears on
when
it
you
that
were
would
that
like
young,
collapse and pull
you
out.
pulled
and you'd, like,
the rabbit ears. Like, you changed the channel until there was something that was acceptable to watch.
To watch.
Not that
And then you just
wanted.
watched it.
yeah,
watched it.
something that
had
could
me-
come that was
No,
like
it wasn't church.
It would be like
The amount of Star Search that I watched with Ed McMahon was criminal.
Yeah,
but that's
I mean,
all I
like
had.
you would flip through the 13 channels if you had 13. You were lucky if you had 13, and you would find, okay, what's the best show, and then you're like, that's what I'm watching.
That's why growing up I watched so many infomercials on the weekends because they were funny enough. And they were funny enough
visible,
to me, especially on a Sunday when everything else was just like church program. It was just either church programs or infomercials, and I was like, well, I guess I'll watch.
Not church, obviously.
I'll watch the Ninja commercial again.
Bring me Ron Popeil.
The
Give me that
NutriBullet.
food dehydrator. Give me that rotisserie.
Yeah, the set it and forget
the
it.
rotisserie. Oh my god.
I watched so many ladder commercials. Like, what was I doing? I'm 8 years old, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna watch this guy talk about this stainless steel extendable ladder and the feet that don't slide, and they're gonna hit it with a truck, and it's never gonna break.
Hey, at least there was always PBS and This Old House or whatever it's called.
That's my dad. On Sunday, always went to this old house.
Yeah.
See,
Anyway,
that always bored me
back to the
so
back
much.
to the beach.
Back to the beach. Okay, so he's brought a TV to the
Richard
beach.
set up this giant TV in front
And
of...
there's a VCR behind him.
And a VCR behind him, and then there's a tripod with a camera pointed down
he
at
set up this
Ted
whole
Danson's
crazy stuff. So then he's showing a video to Harry of Becky in the exact same position that Harry's in.
And basically, how the camera's pointing down at Harry is how we're viewing Becky neck deep in the sand. But this is where the water
tide is coming in. So she's further down the beach, so the tide has hit her sooner, which I don't think that's how tide works, but whatever.
Well, it depends on the angle of the
I guess
beach.
it depends on how low the sea level. Maybe she's further down on sea level.
So he's wanting Harry to know that this is happening
live.
Yeah,
it's a live stream.
Basically doing the same. Nope,
what do they call that? Live.
It's just live.
It's live. I don't know.
It's just live. That's fine.
Whatever.
Definitely
In front of a live studio
So we just
audience.
see the tide coming in and out as it slowly is drowning Rebecca.
And of course, as a damsel in distress, she's only calling Harry's name over and over
yeah,
again. Because she has no agency. She wouldn't like talk to her god or lament her life.
She's just talking about her lover.
Her lover.
And Richard's like, I'm just going to leave you here watching her drown until the water takes out the television. I'm going to go back to my house. Yeah. So he does.
Now, when we go back to his house, he is a techno.
There are cameras in every room. And he has a crazy security system.
He's got a little push button where a painting goes up and there's a bank of monitors.
Yeah, we see
He's got all this 80s appropriation of Asian art, ink, washed paintings, food dogs. And I go, this is what my dad wanted.
Oh, yeah, your dad totally wanted that.
My dad was always Tom Atkins. My dad wanted to be Leslie Nielsen in this movie. This is kind of 80s swagger. My dad loved technology. We had a Betamax, a Laserdisc, and a VHS before the market settled on which one. We could not afford these.
Did you get a Nintendo when it first came out?
Pretty soon after. They balked at video games quite a bit because my grandfather, the electrical engineer in the Navy, always had Commodore 64s and Ataris.
Sure.
And my parents thought that was enough. That was video games.
Well, of course. We had video games on the computer too, but my dad my dad got a Nintendo way later.
Yeah, when Nintendo came out, it was expensive and couldn't understand that. I'm like, but this is next level shit.
Yeah.
So I got one. I think I got it maybe a year after it came out.
Yeah, or I don't know how. I just know we got it way later than all my friends did. And my dad loved it immediately.
My dad didn't give a shit for video games. If we did, we would have got it out the gate.
Yeah.
Because my dad's love for technology was huge. But again, I got to reiterate, we could not afford this stuff.
Right. My parents could have afforded it. I don't know why they waited so long to get it. And then when my dad got it, he loved it so much until he stopped playing video games because he just stopped doing everything. Yeah. He played.
I don't think I ever saw my dad play video games.
No,
I would. That's crazy.
My dad would play Halo on his own. He would talk about how the video games he was playing. He loved it. It was so funny because like he would buy a console and then my brother would beg for the next one. And my dad's like, this one works fine. And like he's like, I'm playing the games that I like. This one works fine. We don't need another one. And so John would not get until like maybe 4 iterations later.
Sure. I think your dad was a more chill hang than my dad. My dad might have been fun as fuck, but he was a more intense dude.
No, my dad was definitely chill later in life. Anyways, back at Richard's house, we see cameras everywhere. And then I literally have a comment, no wonder Rebecca wanted out of his marriage.
Yeah, this place is a nightmare.
It is a nightmare. Richard goes to pour himself a vodka and then watches both of them on camera.
I love days when someone will just pour a straight fucking vodka and ice in a glass.
And then
and they're just like,
and then just like,
And then we're like,
what? Richard has a moment here, though.
I'm like, is Richard starting to feel bad about what he just did? Like, you see, he's having an existential crisis in that moment on his face. And that's
Leslie Nielsen can pull this off.
Oh my God, it's
Leslie
fucking
Nielsen
wonderful.
has the emotional depth to be like.
But then he talks himself out of it. And you see the entire depth of emotions without any words.
It's the best moment in the movie. And it's just Leslie Nielsen alone in a room with a glass of vodka.
Okay, people have to remember that it's not wonderful what this man is doing to these people.
No,
we are talking about his acting ability.
We're talking about an oasis of good acting in a sea of garbage.
Yes. I just want to make sure people understand what I'm talking about. Okay, so Harry is now yelling at the camera, and he's like, Richard, I'm going to get you. And Richard says, you better hold your breath. Yeah. And then we see Harry underwater with a weird pinkish halo around him.
Again, a stylistic light behind him. I just coincidentally heard Ted Danson talk about this on a podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's an aquarium that he's in. It looks like one. That makes sense, yeah. And he's up to his neck, and they did the light and everything, and they kept having a dude off camera put down an oxygen mask.
Yeah, so he can breathe.
For him to breathe and then pull it out and shoot. It sounded harrowing.
Yeah, I mean, like, we see sand shoved in his face. You see it in his ears. It's like
Ted Danson is
these
being
people
put
had
through
to do the
practical stuff.
They did, and nowadays our actors wouldn't have to do that because they don't want to, and they wrote it in their contracts.
Well, they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Ted Danson could have died that day.
I like suffering for art. I really do. I think you got to be put through some.
For this thing, what if Ted Danson died in this
movie?
No
one would know who Ted Danson was.
That's probably true. That is probably true because we love Ted Danson, but yeah.
The guy from Cheers did what?
Okay, so now later, and we see Richard is at the beach, and he's cleaning up his mess, and he's pulling cables out, and we see, like, the cables are frayed, and he's digging the television out of the sand, and then he realizes there's no bodies. And
there's
he's like, it's super odd, and he's like...
blue pail the whole time on the beach during all of this.
And it's so smaller than I expected it to be when he picked it up. I
just bring it up because it is in the sand and then it's floating in the water when the tide comes in, and now it's back. And the fact that it's still there and the body isn't has Richard spooked. Yeah. He's like, why the fuck would this be here and the corpse not?
Right, and he's like, the undertow must have pulled him out.
He's just he's telling himself this. Yeah. He's trying to convince himself of this.
I mean, she's missing too. They're both missing.
Yeah.
But we only see it at Harry's site. So as the sun sets, we see footprints in the sand. And Richard is now in his house. He's in a velour tracksuit.
That's so good.
And he's watching television. And he's spooking himself out. He just keeps thinking about the bodies missing. And he's like spooking himself out. And as he's doing this spook out scene to himself, we see a shadow outside past the blinds.
We have turned from this vengeance plot line, this lover's triangle, to
a different type of vengeance.
A Tales from the Crypt episode.
Yes. When there were footprints in the sand, was it one set or two?
There's just one at the time, but apparently maybe Becky came from a different location.
Maybe it came from two different
locations.
Or
it's like you guys know the parable with Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
It could be a piggyback situation.
It could be, totally, yeah.
Piggyback. I love that. That's what you think. That's how Jesus was carrying him. He was like, go ahead and let's piggyback. Yeah, I just carry you.
Is that not what it was?
That's what I always imagined. Jesus.
Yeah, me too.
He like lifted him in his arms.
Oh no, I always assumed it was like
piggyback.
Yeah, me too. It's the easiest way to carry somebody if they're a living person, right?
Boy, that tickled the shit out of you.
I went to church for a long time.
That is an authentic visual that we both carry.
Everyone in church is like, it's such reverence for that story because you're like, oh, in the toughest part of my life, why did you leave me alone? And Jesus was like, oh, in the toughest part of your life, I carried you. And you picture him like
piggyback,
like carrying like a rescue, like a firefighter carrying.
I am not a religious person, but I have always loved Jesus' style, and I think that the Jesus that is real, that is like chilling out with the poor and the diseased and the downtrodden, would be like, this is the best way to do it. It's like a fireman carry.
Technically, a fireman carry is over your shoulder.
You're right.
Yeah.
Which
also would be the second one. I would never picture this one because that is so hard to do.
And it's also
there's a reason why firemen throw you over your shoulder because that is the easiest way to carry.
Jesus can walk on water.
Jesus
came back
also
came back
man
to
of the people and a salt of the earth, dude. He's going to do.
He's gonna fireman carry them.
Probably more likely, but I just like the vision of Jesus just squatting down and be like, how about after this we'll play leapfrog.
Zero conflicts in my brain.
No, me neither. Like this works for me. Yeah.
Okay, let's get.
Okay. So Richard has now gotten into the shower, and
let's go through the Bible together. I want your thoughts.
Richard is now in the shower, and two seaweed-covered bodies, and we don't see any heads, have come inside the house. They access his security system. And then Richard gets out of the shower because he hears something, and he grabs his gun. We see the seaweed-covered bodies are now coming up the stairs. We see, again, no heads.
What you're saying, bodies, no heads. The camera's down and it's just showing, like, their torso or their feet.
Yeah, that's not telling us who they are. It's not giving us the whole picture of what's happening. We just see clothes and seaweed.
And it's not because it's any surprise. It's because of how beautiful this fucking makeup is in the reveal.
So Richard is now yelling through the door to threaten and shoot them dead. And then the bedroom door opens, and Rebecca and Harry's drowned bodies are there. And it is just, like, wrinkly and blue.
And bloated.
But you still kind of see them.
And squishy and wet. And they're, like, their eyes are puffed shut. And their lips are waterlogged and puffy. And as Richard starts shooting them, the bullet holes go in. And I don't know how this special effect
I don't either. It was beautiful.
The bullet hits their faces and their bodies, and it's wet.
It's like green water.
It's like a pushed-in sponge.
Yeah.
And it looks so fucking good.
Right. Well, so
Savini
before
is
he
just
shoots
knocking it out
them,
of the park in this.
before he shoots them, they're like, "You can't shoot us, Richard. We're already dead." But he shoots them anyways. And then he's like, "We want to see you, Richard. We've dug a hole for you on the beach. We want you to go to the beach." And he just is shooting them, and all those things happen. And then
I do have a note here where it's like, this makeup is so amazing. Green bullet holes look so good. Too bad they ran out of money for the hands. Because they both reach forward to Richard as they're coming through, and their hands are fucking normal.
Normal hands, yeah.
Well, they were, they didn't get pruny. They were buried in the sand.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then Richard runs into the bathroom and locks the door, but then he turns around and they're in the bathroom because they're apparitions.
Yeah,
Come
they're
on.
ghosts, I guess.
And I jumped here. I actually had a jump scare here when this happened.
I love that this movie jump scared you twice.
Yeah, it did.
And hey, both time with Savini corpses.
Yeah. Then I wrote, if you can hold your breath. That's what they're saying to Richard.
They're just kind of chanting kind of his like doomy villainous speech back to him.
So then Richard starts laughing hysterically.
Yeah.
And then he's still laughing. He's in the same hole. His head is above the sand. He's buried on the beach while the tide comes in, and he is laughing hysterically.
He's gone insane.
And
he's like, I could hold my breath a long time.
Yeah,
As we cut back to the comic book in the gutter, animated again. Oh, God damn this. And we have dropped precipitously to the crate.
The crate. I like this one too, but
that's crazy, but that's okay.
But also,
almost as crazy as Jesus giving you a piggyback ride.
I like everything until we get to the fifth one, to be honest.
That's fine.
I like all of them until we get to the fifth one.
This is fine.
Like, I just had this... I feel like I'm saying this in the wrong place of the podcast, but I feel like when we got to the fifth one, I had this like dread come over me where I don't want to watch it anymore. And because I remember, I remember not liking the last one, and so like I feel like I just enjoyed every little vignette until then. So here, this is the last one I liked.
This is the crate, and it has Adrian Barbeau's all over.
Yeah. So a janitor is flipping a coin, and it rolls under a grate under some stairs, and he's trying to dig it out.
Yeah, we're in some sort of, like, the basement of some sort of institution.
University.
It turns out it's a university.
Yeah. He's trying to dig out this quarter, and he sees a wooden crate covered in chains. And it says it's from some sort of Arctic expedition, and it says 1834 on it.
So real quick, I'll just have to...
Yep.
So it says Julia Carpenter, Arctic Expedition 1834, like you said. I took a moment in Jason Goes to Hell when we were talking about all the different stuff that in the basement of the Voorhees house is this crate.
I forgot you did that.
This is the crate I was referencing.
That they like to reference a lot in that movie.
That movie is just a cavalcade of like, do you see what
they
our
put
buddies
everything
made?
Together, yeah.
Our friends made this movie. That is referencing this.
So then we flash to some sort of reception, and academics are just talking to each other. Adrian Barbeau is playing a character named
Wilma.
Or Billy.
Or
Billy.
Yeah.
And
my grandma's name is Wilma. She should just go with Wilma.
I like Wilma better.
I got excited. I was like, Wilma?
Yeah.
No, he's never named Wilma.
Is drunk.
Wilma is always drunk.
Wilma is not sober in this entire thing.
And she's super annoying. And she is Henry's annoying wife.
Yes.
So,
so Henry is also Hal Holbrook, who is Father Malone in The Fog.
Okay.
You take that mustache off and it really changes the face. So this is Adrian Barbeau and Hal Holbrook.
Both from The Fog.
Both from The Fog. Tom Atkins from The Fog earlier. So everyone, I think that's 82 as well. Everyone just left The Fog Carpenter and walked over
so
to...
we got
which
another
I'm
gig.
guessing is why. So Julia Carpenter in my mind is John Carpenter, and the Arctic Expedition shit is the thing.
Yeah, it's a very referential section. Okay, she's gotten so drunk that people are like, why do they keep inviting her? Like you hear people whispering about her, and she doesn't give a shit.
Boy, should she not give a shit.
Yeah.
And I used to think that this character is so obnoxious. In my rewatch, I'm kind of like, she's not okay.
She's not great, but I feel like there's moments when us and your family are like this.
Yes.
I was like, maybe your description of her, I'm like, I don't hate her. Oh, she got too drunk. And she's having a good time at the party, and nobody likes her.
You could definitely be her.
So could I as well.
Oh, nobody likes her.
You aren't as malicious as this person.
No, she's definitely.
You don't have
malicious.
as big of a chip on the shoulder.
Like, you
Jamie,
aren't
absolutely.
Lindsay, you're not as malicious as Jamie.
Yeah.
That is true.
You aren't as mad.
Yeah, okay.
As Jamie.
Okay.
I think that's more appropriate.
Mad.
You're not as mad as Jamie is all the time.
Sure. Okay, so Henry asks Professor Stanley, which his name is Professor Dexter Stanley, and I mostly call him Professor Stanley because it's more fun for me, but whatever.
And he buys meteorites.
She said he buys meteorites.
He's a professor of meteorites in the Department of Meteorites.
Anyways, okay, so Henry asked Professor Stanley if he's still going to come over for chess tonight, and he says he will, but he was flirting with some co-ed, and he really wasn't going to. He made a date, but...
Gross. And Wilma clocks is flirting. This is clearly something that Dexter
He utilizes later, too.
That's
Henry
why
does,
it comes back later, that this professor fucks with flirts at least with young women.
Yeah.
Gross.
So then a call comes at the house where they're having this party, and it's for Professor Stanley, and it turns out to be the janitor is calling to talk about the crate.
Yeah.
And Professor Stanley thinks that it's full of National Geographics, but then the janitor's like, well, it says 1834 on it.
So...
And he's like, okay, maybe it's not full of National Geographics.
Right.
So he
Maybe
leaves
not.
the party.
Nobody's ever reused a crate before?
Henry then imagines pulling a gun out of his pocket and shooting his wife in the head, and everybody applauding
And everybody
him.
applauds. So, okay, I just, that was a little fast. That's a little, okay. So,
No, it literally is how it happens.
Dexter leaves the party, and Henry, basically his anchor for this party has left. That's his buddy. His chess buddy has left. And so now he has nothing to focus on but his wife, who keeps walking around from
being loud
click
and
to
angry.
click, being loud, drunk, and talking about how, Harry would be nothing without
She
me.
says, oh, Henry, what would you do without me?
Yeah, she says this over and over again, like he's a baby and she keeps him afloat.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes, hey, Wilma, and pulls a gun out, puts a bullet right in her forehead. Barbeau falls down, and then the whole crowd gets quiet, turns to him, and starts clapping. And then it cuts back to her screaming.
He
this is all in
imagined
his
it.
head.
That was, it was an imagination. Yeah. He hates his wife.
Just get divorced.
These people should get divorced.
Yes.
That's it. This whole crate
get
situation is so stupid. Let's talk about the last one. You're like, this is about the mentality of victims. You brought such a beautiful level of depth to that shallow parfait that was the Tide story. Let's talk about toxic relationships and how, if left to fester, you get more intricate in your mind of how to get yourself out of them when you could just go, this isn't working out.
Right. Absolutely.
And then you leave.
And
if you need help and a support system to get you out and support you to leave,
I mean, you got to remember.
You build that.
You got to remember, like, culturally, we are very much frowned upon divorce and
this
separation.
Whole story is about how dudes can kind of do whatever they want.
They can, but like he's also kind of a pussy until later.
I mean, the whole point of it is he has no backbone.
He has no backbone
until it comes to a monkey in a box.
So Wilma's not wrong. He would be nothing without her.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes.
Is what it is.
Yeah, no, I mean, we do learn that he can't make his own life better. He has no will to make his own life better.
Wilma is wrong because he's still nothing with her.
Yeah,
so,
that's true. Yeah. Okay, so we're with Professor Stanley, and he's trying to drag the crate out from under the stairs. And he
Mike
hears
is the janitor. So,
Mike is the janitor, yeah.
So they are both working together to get this crate out.
He hears the
from us.
thump, and he asks Mike to help him, and they pull it out, and they carry it into the nearby laboratory.
They insist that something's moving on.
Something is moving inside. It feels like something shifted. So then we flash back with Henry and his wife. Billy is being mean to him again, and then he imagines literally strangling her
with a tie.
With a tie, yeah.
She's on her way out to like a book
She says
club
it's a
or some
class.
shit.
She says it's a class, but she comes home drunk, so who knows?
I don't think she's never sobered up.
The OG wine and paint class.
Yeah, exactly. And then she says again, oh, Henry, what would you do without me? So we're back with the janitor, and he gets tools to pull open the crate.
It takes so long to open this fucking crate.
It is. They do. They actually literally don't just movie open the crate. They open the fucking crate. It takes forever.
Which is they, on both sides, crowbar it up, then hammer it back down so the nails will pop up, and then one by one, I'm just like, open the fucking box already.
And there was also a lock that they had to cut off, that kind of stuff. So, and then as soon as they get the lid open a little bit, a dust cloud comes out, and they hear chirping, like literally chirping like a bird.
Which is so weird.
And then the janitor looks in, and they've only got the lid open like 4 inches.
Yeah, you can just kind of peek in.
Yeah. And the janitor looks in, he said, there's something shiny in there, and it looks like a couple of emeralds. And then he puts his hand in as a purpose, like, no!
They are clearly eyes.
Yeah.
And he goes emeralds. No.
No, and they're yellow eyes.
They're yellow eyes, clearly, and he goes emeralds, and I'm going to stick my hand in there, and I'm like, well, Mike, you get what you fucking get.
Yeah. So the professor is like, no, and his hand is in there, and the crate falls over onto its side, and the janitor is like hanging. He's sitting on the ground, and his hand is stuck inside the crate. Yeah. And then we see blood just drench his arm.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, no, it looks right. And then the crate slams open, and we see a toothy gorilla-type creature. I see like Yeti/gorilla/ mass amounts of sharp teeth.
So, since time immemorial, going back to Edgar Allan Poe's Murder in the Rue Morgue, the idea of murderous monkeys have been a thing in horror.
Sure.
I hate them. I don't know why. I hate a monkey as a bad guy. Not scared, not whatever. All the creature designs you could use when you put a monkey in it, it just ruins it for me. So,
because they're not generally malicious.
They're not.
Just
Well, there's
doing animal instinct things.
Well, and what comes to pass is this monkey doesn't want to leave. He just wants to live under the stairs in this crate. That's
Yeah,
all
he
this
doesn't
fucker
want.
wants.
He doesn't want people to leave.
Well,
to
and
bother
that's
him.
what,
Yeah.
if you open any crate and there is an animal living in there and that crate is like, you're like, there's no food, there's no water.
It's hundreds of years old.
How are
apparently.
you in here? You should just leave that alone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You're like, whoops.
So anyway, Janitor Mike gets like
He gets
dragged
basically
up
his
into
whole
the
body
box.
gets dragged up into the box, and whatever this creature is eats it, whatever. And the entire time, Professor Stanley is just watching.
Just witnessing.
So
it.
then he runs out into the hall, and he sees Charlie, the grad student, and he starts to tell him what happens.
He's
Takes-
panicking.
He's
He's
panicking.
like,
It takes a bit for Charlie to like calm him down and be coherent. And then, meanwhile, the crate is being pushed down the hall by the creature. And
yeah. The creature's just taking the box back home.
where it was, yeah. It literally is taking it back where it goes. So Charlie doesn't believe him, but decides to see for himself.
Yeah.
And then Charlie sees all the bloody carnage everywhere, and he thinks that Professor Stanley did it at first.
Sure.
Yeah.
That sounds more
Why
plausible.
wouldn't you?
And then Professor Stanley's like, the monster must have pushed the crate back under the stairs where it felt safe. So they go to the stairs, and they see the flashlight that got left behind. And so Charlie
This
tries...
stupid-ass student, for some reason...
He gets like a weird thing that cleans ceiling fans or something, because it looks like an
it's,
oval...
It looks like something maybe to clean a flue out or whatever.
But it
It's
looks like...
a-
yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, for whatever reason, this grad student wants to see how big the bite mark is on the bloody shoe that's under the stairs.
Yeah. He uses the pole to get the flashlight, and then he gets a wrench to go under the stairs to get the shoe.
Whatever.
I don't know why he didn't
None of
use
this
the pole.
matters.
Doesn't
This guy's
matter,
about
yeah.
to die. He shouldn't be in this story at all.
Right. So he's trying to get the shoe to measure the bite marks. So he gets the shoe out, and as the professor is looking at the shoe, the creature has snuck up behind Charlie, and he attacks Charlie. And Charlie hits him with a wrench, and he almost gets away, but eventually the monster rips Charlie's throat out.
Yes.
The professor runs all the way back to Henry's house.
Panicking.
Hysterical.
Yeah, he's hysterical.
He
Henry's
tells-
like, what the fuck is going on? Get inside, have a drink. Tell me the story.
Yeah, and he tells Harry everything that happened. So Professor Stanley is trying to figure out how to get rid of the crate. And Henry, at this time, he's listening to the story, and he's like, I'm going to use the restroom. I'll be right back. He decides to drug Professor Stanley.
So this now goes cuckoo bananas.
He does.
He hears a story about this scary, deathless monkey under the stairs and goes, oh, this is how I can get rid of my wife.
Yeah.
These are two dots that shouldn't connect
Yep.
this easily.
So basically, he drugs him asleep with some sleeping pills, and while he's asleep, he leaves a note for Wilma and then locks Dexter Stanley into the study. He drives to the college campus, he sees all the blood, and then Henry decides to just clean up all the blood.
Right.
So,
This is a protracted cleanup scene
Yeah, it
of
is.
him like getting a bucket and some sponges and all this shit.
Meanwhile, Wilma has come home, and she seems a little drunk. She stumbles getting out of her car. She finds the...
That she drove there?
Yeah.
Oh, this woman.
Oh, no.
Just wait.
Her ABV was high at 6:30 a.m. this morning and has only gone up since.
So she finds the note, and then she pours herself a glass of milk while she reads the note.
And
And then basically Henry has spun a yarn, knowing who his wife is, to get her to come to the college. He tells her about Dexter and his co-ed and how he got some girl in trouble and he needs her help. And does she put brandy in her milk?
That's what I was saying. And this whole letter, Wilma is delighting
She
over.
is.
So
She
this
is.
is a story that if you read between the lines, Professor Stanley has hurt girls in the past, or has at least been inappropriate with students in the past, has hurt a girl tonight. And Wilma is just, this is salacious, wonderful.
Yeah.
So much so that she grabs what I think is a bottle of whiskey and makes whiskey milk.
It's
Which is, what the
okay,
fuck?
my brain went to brandy, and I don't know.
Which makes more sense.
I
The
feel like
bottle
that's something my
seemed-
dad would do.
Okay.
But he was always really gross with milk. He also put Dr.
think
Pepper
putting
in milk.
milk-
Really gross with milk.
He was.
Dairy liquor is gross.
It
in
is,
general.
agreed, yes.
Wouldn't it curdle?
Yeah, typically.
Yes. Ugh, so gross. Okay, so Wilma has shown up to the college and
With her glass
with
of
her
whiskey
fucking glass
mask.
of milk. She's
she
holding
gets out
it.
of the car with this tumbler of whiskey milk, half drank.
She's like,
I love her.
Oh my god. Okay, so Henry tells Wilma that she needs to see for herself. And he keeps laughing. He can't stop himself from laughing. And Wilma's like, why are you laughing?
Yeah.
And he tells her the girl has gone under the stairs and crawled under there and she won't come out. And that's why he's laughing.
So he's laughing
like,
at a young
yeah.
woman who's so hurt and violated that she's crawled under stairs.
Yeah, and he's
to
like,
hide.
yeah, and he's like, I know you can go in there and get her out of there. He like tells her that. He's like, that's why kind of.
The idea is like a woman can talk to
Yeah,
a
another
woman
woman,
victim. It's,
So Wilma crouches under the stairs, and Henry shoves her under, and then starts banging her. against the crate, trying to
trying to
wake
get
the
the monkey,
monster up.
yeah.
And it won't wake up. And eventually he stops, and Wilma starts to berate him again. She escalates in anger, and she's basically telling him, like, you know, like, if you hit me, I can hit you, basically. And then the monster comes out and eats her.
Yep.
Just like he wanted. So, quiet as he can, Henry gets a lock for the crate, and he pulls the bloody chains together and gets the lock on it.
Yeah, it's a little bit of suspense that's good, but I'm so tired of the story at this point. I'm like, just let's go.
So then,
let's get that crate in the car.
And then we go to a voiceover of Henry telling Professor Stanley how he got rid of the crate showing us how he got rid of the crate.
Yeah, this was Dexter Stanley's idea. If we can get the crate to the quarry, because he wanted, in the first place.
Ryder Canyon is what I wrote. Or is it a quarry? Okay, sorry.
Well, no, he does say quarry, but it does go into water. So I don't know. It just looks like a cliff into water. So this is exactly what Henry's doing.
He managed to get the lock on it. He takes it out. He makes a comment how, like, he thinks the monster knows what's happening, that kind of stuff. Then later that morning, Henry is talking to Dexter, and...
over chess. Again, now they're playing chess, which is what Henry has wanted his friend to do with him this whole time, and is basically holding him hostage with
he's
chess.
like, what happens now? There's no bodies. There's no evidence. What are you going to say? And Dexter's like, I'm not going to say anything. And Henry's like, thank you. And he's like, no
Dexter
need to thank me. What are friends for?
Henry's bonds is 70 feet down. You know, we're all friends there. Nothing's going to happen. And we go down under the water, and the crate breaks.
Yep.
Because it's not dead, and it's a wooden crate water.
Yep.
Seems like it wouldn't hold
then
forever.
They have like a close-up of the
on his
monster's
yellow
eyes. And that's it.
And we go back to the animated comic book in the gutter, and the page flips. And we're ending with, I'll just do this real quick. We're ending with one called They're Creeping Up on You. A terrible, rich, racist germaphobe named Upson Pratt, played by E.G. Marshall, has roaches. Now we go to the end of the movie.
We hate the fifth one.
There's nothing to this. It's not even a fucking
just like
story.
It's just like racist, awful person.
He's a rich man in a clean room of a penthouse apartment in New York. He's made everything white, and he sits there in a 1982 version of a techno bubble, which is a giant ass fucking computer that's printing a dox matrix ticker of the stock market.
Right.
And a pneumatic tube thing that sucks tissues down, and he hates bugs. He's fighting roaches this whole time.
Yeah.
And he keeps calling people to threaten them about, get people over here to clean my roaches, and the roaches just keep increasing. I'm having COVID flashbacks where I'm like...
It's bad. We don't need to talk about it. It's a bad one.
What happens? He dies?
Yeah, the roaches supposedly explode out of his body.
No, bugs keep happening. He keeps trying to kill them. The whole idea, I think, is
crazy. Yeah,
is a slightly thin parable about how he thinks he's the only clean person in this world, meaning rich and white, and everything else around him that he has to deal with every day is a fucking bug.
Yeah,
and so the bugs coalesce, and there's literally thousands of roaches, live roaches in this. If you have a problem with roaches,
don't watch it.
And me, I actually don't anymore. And so I kept thinking, God, all these bugs are being killed. Yeah. All these bugs are being bred. I mean, you're watching him step on real live bugs in this. And until he panics so much that they're everywhere. He has a safe room inside of his already safe room. The bugs swarm him, and then when finally the outside exterminator and building manager show up, the whole apartment's completely clean. His corpse is just laying on a bed, and they're like, there's no bugs in here. And then his whole body explodes with bugs. They come out of his mouth, they burst through his chest, and they basically,
He's basically made of bugs. Like, all the germs were him.
The last image is a man-shaped pile of bugs on the thing. There's
gross.
nothing else to it.
Yeah, there's nothing else to it.
So...
It's not good.
Then
it's morning, and we're back with the kid.
We're animated out of that story and animated back to the comic in the gutter, but then it becomes the real world again.
Right. So it's morning, and the garbage being picked up, and we're outside the little boy's house, and the garbage men find the comic book his dad threw away, and it's Tom Savini.
So the garbage men are John Harrison and Tom Savini.
Who's John Harrison?
John Harrison is George Romero's writing partner.
Oh.
He has also directed some stuff. They wrote Day of the Dead together. They are longtime collaborators.
Okay.
These guys are, after all of that, such a breath of fresh air. Savini has a Walkman in, and he's just dancing down the suburban street while he's throwing trash around, and John Harrison's more like clumping, and they pick up this comic and like, look at this fucking comic.
Yeah. Well, and they're looking through it, looking at all the free stuff that you get at the back of the comic. you can send away for X-ray glasses and an authentic voodoo doll.
They think the voodoo doll is cool.
But somebody already sent away
but
for it.
it's been clipped out at the bottom, so someone sent away for it.
So back in the house, Tom Atkins doesn't feel very good, and Mom is doing some ironing, and she notices there's a big piece cut out of one of his shirts.
Yeah, Tom Atkins just thinks he slept wrong. There's a crick in his neck.
There's a crick in his neck. And then we go upstairs where Billy is upstairs, and he has a voodoo doll, and he's put that fabric that was missing around the voodoo doll, and he has a giant needle, and he's just dabbing it into the neck of the
ready
voodoo
for
doll.
another shot, Dad.
Yeah. And that is the end of the fucking movie.
Well, downstairs, Tom Atkins is grabs his throat and is obviously dying from internal injuries and falls over dead. Then it cuts to the floaty animated crypt keeper of this movie taking the comic book back. And the candle that lights him blows out, and we go to the credits.
Yeah, that's it. The end.
That's Creepshow.
Crazy.
I mean, good time, good enough time.
It was good enough time. I mean, I'd seen it a couple times in my lifetime, and enough recently. I'm probably in the last decade.
I will say I had way more fun recording this podcast than I did watching this movie. This was a blast.
Oh, yeah,
This was
no,
a
I
blast.
agree with you completely. Yes, recording it was much more fun than watching the movie. So,
All right.
anyways.
With that done, I just got to ask, do we have a question from John?
This question is from our listener, Courtney. Courtney would like you to choose your favorite utensil, spoon, fork, or spork.
Knife's not on the
Sporks are
table.
useless. I mean, they're just basically a
disagree.
spoon that'll poke your tongue because I can't ever pick anything up with a spork.
See, what I was going to say
Okay.
is that my utensil of choice is I have something called a tactical spork, which is, it's a spork. It's plastic, but you can pull the handle apart and there's a knife in it too.
Oh,
and I use that thing all the time. I pack that in my lunch all the time.
I'm going to go with a fork because other than residue left behind, I could mostly eat everything I
Can't
want
eat
to
soup.
eat.
You could also.
I mean, I could. I just eat all the solids out and then drink it.
You could also carve your initials in your jilted boyfriend's chest.
Yeah, there you go. I think I'm going fork. I mean, I love spoons. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like
God damn this fucking
fork
question.
is more useful.
Well, what about
Hey, don't get me wrong. I love spoons. Spoons have their place. Welcome back to Utensil Talk. Remember Function Junction? It was a mall staple. That's where you went and got your cob corn
The corn
stabbers.
Well,
that
you would
had-
just hang out and see all the weird kitchen gadgets.
Yeah, so I'm not deigning to answer this question until I do a full walk through the function junction in my brain.
In your
there
brain?
were drawers of cookie cutters. Would that be a utensil?
No.
No. I think I'm more prone to the spork because I watched a bunch of Good Eats when I was younger, and Alton Brown had this real thing about no unitaskers in your kitchen.
Oh, sure.
So, I'm still like that. So I'm like, spork is perfect. Fucking multitasking machine, and my tactical spork is the best thing.
Alton
ever.
Brown knows that there's a place for a fork and a place for a spoon.
No unitaskers.
I think the unitasker thing is don't get a rotisserie machine and a blender and a dehydrator and a fryer.
Well, you gotta think also, don't forget, historically, the fork is the last invented piece. So, they would use spoons and fingers before they used forks.
Oh my God.
I love your history.
No, I'm just saying, maybe forks aren't as useful. If we would have made them sooner.
I'm going surprise with a knife.
All right.
I want to stab shit.
You want to stab shit.
I want to cut shit and I want to stab shit.
I will say I went to a long, long time ago to, what was it? Dolly. It was probably the Dixie Stampede at that time. But when you go to that show, they serve you dinner at it. You do not get utensils.
Oh, medieval times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
got
get
I don't remember. Did we get a knife? I can't remember. Or we got a
You
spoon. We got a spoon.
no utensils
No.
at Dixie Stampede. So they're doing this rodeo show. And remember they brought you soup in a cup that it was like a chowder.
Heavy can,
but it had
Me
a
too.
handle.
Yeah, medieval times.
And
I
then they
literally
would bring
stopped
you
listening. What is Dixie Stampede?
It's Dolly Parton's. It's been renamed. She's renamed it since then.
So
it's not called
because
Dixie
that doesn't
Stampede.
ring medieval to me.
No. It's a Dolly Parton sort of theme park attraction, and it's basically like a rodeo. So it's sort of in the same way that medieval times is you all sit in this big arena and there's but you watch things I think I watched people. It was so long ago. I think I watched people ride ostriches.
You have dreams. We all know you have dreams. That's not a thing that happened.
But no, they're
You
big.
played the video game Joust one night? And
But people
I
were
went to
like,
medieval times when I was a kid.
they were like riding horses and doing like trick things, and like clowns were out there and stuff.
I wish
It
you
was
guys
like
knew the video game Joust so you could know how funny that was.
it's like rodeo jokes, but also Dolly Parton. She's not there, but her voice comes on. And she's like, "There's no utensils here." No, I'm not. I can't do
Okay.
it.
That's
But
probably not
yeah,
what she sounds like. So this is in
Pigeon Forge?
Pigeon Forge. Hey, I'm not
I don't know.
far
Was
off.
it in Pigeon Forge?
boy, I don't know. Hold
the
on.
Smoky Mountains?
Let's look it up. Dixie Stampede. I feel like honestly, I think there's one in Branson.
Oh, there probably
that-
is one
that
in
makes
Branson.
There
sense.
is.
There's a Branson.
There's Branson.
It's called the Dolly Stampede now, and it's in Branson.
Okay.
That's
Which makes sense because, like,
definitely
The
where I
dark,
went.
dark heart that is Branson,
That's
Missouri.
definitely where I was
Yeah.
Branson.
One of these days, we're going to do a podcast live from Branson. It's going to be amazing. They're going to
We've never
run.
been to
Oh,
Branson.
They're going to run us out with pitchforks and,
Never been
and
to Branson.
torches.
Can't make me go back to. You can't make me do. That's a horror movie.
It's a horror movie
It
waiting to
is so-
happen.
you can't make me go back there.
Hey, everybody. Do you have a question for Josh? Let us know on our Instagram or at creaturepop@gmail.com. You have just flipped through another episode of the Creature Popcast. I want to thank our producer, Jamie. She's one of the better stories at cherrystreetstudios.com or cherry_street_studios on Instagram. Thank you to Kevin MacLeod for all of our music. All of our art is made by myself and Lindsay. You get all of our episodes and our merch and some pretty dope X-ray specs at creaturepop.com. Until next time, chew before you swallow, Josh.
Oh, my God.